Does anyone recognize this location? We are at the Ice House Theater with comedian Trent Babb. He is so graciously talking to us today about what he loves about Visalia, his history in the comedy scene, and I'm so glad you're here. So tell me first, how long have you lived in Visalia?
I've lived here my whole life.
Your
Stephanie.
whole life?
Whole life, went to school here. I moved away and it sucked me right back in because I wanted to start a family 4 years ago with my wife. But I love Visalia. The people are great and it's such a welcoming environment for the arts, and it's perfect for comedy because I can travel up to Fresno, I can go to Bakersfield, go to LA, and it's honestly not that bad of a drive.
It's like centrally located.
It's like Central Valley, yes.
Yeah, right? We put the Central and Central Valley. So I saw you were headlining, was it last night? Or recently this week you headlined in
Paso Robles at a poorhouse, and that was a very fun show. A lot of drunk people, the usual.
Did you do a good job?
Oh yeah, of course.
You nailed it?
Of course. I wouldn't be here if I didn't do a good job.
So when did you start doing comedy? Were you like funny since elementary school?
No, I actually remember my first laugh. I was a very shy kid in school, super shy. And in fourth grade, we were watching Reading Rainbow. And it started off on a tight shot of a camel walking. With that shot, I shouted, "That girl needs to shave her legs." And that was my first laugh. And you remember stuff like that. And I love that feeling. And ever since then, I kind of came out of my shell. I was a musician for a long time. And then I got the comedy bug 9 years ago. And I've been doing it very steadily ever since. And I just love bringing joy to people, and their recognition and their feedback brings me joy too. It's just so much fun. It's an excuse to be a goofball, which I am naturally. So I love doing stand-up, especially here in Visalia.
My name's Trent. I got a problem. I'm straight, but no one believes me. I'm like the boy who cried, "Stop it." I got my wife women's volleyball shorts. You know, the little spandex ones? Yeah, dude. And guys, my ass looks fantastic in these things. Woo! Good game, everybody. Let's hit the showers. Go team, go.
Super awesome. And then you also are involved in a lot of events and bringing talent here. Can you tell us more about how that works and what you love about that or hate about it?
No, it's all love, no hate, no. So doing all these shows, like I mentioned, Fresno, Bakersfield, LA, the Central Coast, I come across so many talented comedians, and they're hungry for good audiences too. And you don't really get those great accepting audiences in the big cities. You got to come to a working class town, a small town, to get the real response of a crowd. And I love bringing in outside talent to this area because they appreciate it so much. I'm like, hey, the pay's not so good, but you're going to really get some great feedback, and people are going to love you and be lifelong fans. So I really enjoy bringing people here. And it's a little bit of a trade-off. I get you on my show, I'm going to put me on yours, you know, if they like me, of course.
So this means you're going to have me on stage soon since you're on my show?
I was going to see, are you available tomorrow for a 10-minute set?
Scratch that idea. Cut that from the tape.
Keep it. It's real.
So tell us about your comedy and all about you. I just want to know everything about Trent.
So I've been doing comedy for 9 years. I got funny about 3 weeks ago. No, it's been quite...
It takes practice.
It takes a lot of practice because you only learn by doing it. Right. You can be a good student and kind of learn the format and stuff, but that has nothing to do with your personality and how the crowd perceives you. And it's the only art form where you have to practice in front of people. And so it's been a long road for me. You know, it took me a long time to learn that puns aren't that funny. And what it's come down to is being personable as possible. And you think it's just your life is so unique, no one's going to relate to it. But actually, when you tell people your life story, it connects with people, either them personally or someone they know. And that took me the longest time to figure out. And I feel like that's really popular these days because Instagram or anything else, there's filters over everything. Everyone wants to be perfect. In comedy, it is just bare knuckle. You're naked up there. And that's what I love most about it. There's no gimmicks. It's just one guy, one microphone. And so I've traveled around. My wife is a speech pathologist, and she was traveling, and I was with her for 2 years. We were all over California and a little bit of Hawaii. And I was able to interject myself into those comedy scenes, and I got to find out what really works in different crowds and see what to do, and maybe even more importantly, what not to do. But I just love it. I love putting on shows and bringing joy to people. It's amazing.
I got some exciting news, though. My wife's pregnant again, and we just found out we're having a son. Yeah, it's going to be so nice to finally have a man in the house. Is what my wife said.
What was your most like successful moment? Like when do you feel like, oh, I made it?
When my wife and I were living in Monterey for a while, I was contacted to do this ladies fundraiser for chemotherapy. And we got this amazing venue in Carmel Valley. And you know, Carmel, nice area. And we had this huge benefit show for her, and we ended up raising $7,000 for her.
Wow.
And that was a proud moment for me.
Absolutely.
And I organized the whole thing. I didn't headline. All right. Like I said, 3 weeks ago I got funny. This was 4 years ago. But that was a very proud moment for me. That something that I produced helped someone.
That's what it's all about, for sure. That's really cool. Do you have any funny like stories of when something flopped, or have you ever tripped on stage?
Have I? Funny you say that. The first night, my then girlfriend, now wife, but then girlfriend and stepdad saw me do comedy. It was at the El Presidente restaurant right across the street from here, and it was comedy night, and there was my family and 3 Raider fans in the crowd, and I get on stage and I trip, I get up, I get the mic out, hit myself in the head.
Wow.
And it's all by accident, and the speaker goes out, so I end up having to shout my jokes. What's the deal with RVs, right? So that was horrible. I'm surprised. She's my wife. I'm surprised she didn't get up and run out of there. But so many crazy things happen. It's ridiculous, but that's part of the fun. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
In a world where everything's so planned and filtered and perfected, comedy, it's rock and roll.
If you guys couldn't already tell by my sunken eyes, bloated body, and lack of hope, I'm a dad. It's confusing though, because my hair says stepmom. Got juice boxes for everybody in the minivan. Come on, let's go. I had a buddy the other day say, Trent, if your wife committed murder, would you help her cover it up? And I'm like, hell no. I'd be the victim.
Well, I love that you say that, because I keep saying like transparency and authenticity are like truly what people are craving right now, because it was fun to see the pretty people and the filters. And then I think like society took like a huge dip in our mental health as a whole. And then now people hear relatable stories and it's like, oh, okay, like I'm not alone in this world. Like we all mess up, we all trip on stage, and we all have like arguments with our spouse, or like get frustrated with our kids but love them to death. Like we all have these human experiences, but you don't see that in the highlight reel on Instagram.
No, you do not. And all that goodness, you become numb to it. It's just like, okay, whatever. But when you see something real, or you hear something authentic, something close to a person's soul, it's not perfect. It's the rough edges that make it interesting. And that's what comedy's all about. And that's why it's such a booming industry right now. You're starting to see comedy clubs pop up everywhere. There's a comedy club in Bakersfield called The Well. And I love that place, and it's nearby. I go there, and then another one in LA I just went to, Comedy Chateau. That's a new one. There haven't been comedy clubs opening since like the 80s, since the original boom.
Wow.
And it kind of died off, but now, freedom of speech is kind of up in the air, and all that perfect filtering, it's caused people to flock towards comedy clubs again.
Do you still get nervous before you go on stage?
Oh, of course. All the time.
That's like half the fun, I think.
You know, it's the butterflies. Don't be afraid of the butterflies, because what usually follows the butterflies are the best moments of your life. You know, think of your wedding day or coming to the Visalia Ice House Theater for a comedy.
This has been so much fun, and I really appreciate your time, and thank you for sharing your story and being here. I really love everything you do for our community, and just thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's a pleasure. I get a lot out of it too, so it's a trade-off.
Thank you.